Will Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now? Immediately? Absolutely not. So for people to come at me and say that I made those comments because I'm a racist.
Remember when Sheryl Swoopes was the Caitlin Clark of her day? Now she's been kicked off a broadcast for hating on the new star. If you thought rookie hazing was just for the court, think again. This is a whole new game. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great. Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Compared to Clark's statistics, what is even more bizarre? How Swoopes felt about them. Anxiety between Swoopes and Clark was steadily rising. Awkward times in sports? Really? Be amazed when you learn about the broadcast that sent shockwaves through the fandom and caused social media to go boom. Swoopes initially pretended not to care. Her responses to questions about Clark were courteous, but ultimately uninspiring. She seemed to be making an effort to be kind, but her sincerity was lacking. The fans took note, but hey, Swoopes could have been being cautious after all.
So will Caitlin Clark be a good pro? Absolutely. I have no issues with Caitlin. Her breaking the record, I think obviously is a tremendous accomplishment.
Then came the part when heads turned in confusion.
As we look at Diamond DeShields and Caitlin Clark.
In one game, Diamond DeShields intentionally fouled Clark. Whoa, that was rough, was the reaction of most people. As for Swoopes, though, she rushed to DeShields' aid. People began to make connections at that point. Soon it became more than just one remark. It became a pattern. However, please be patient. This is only the beginning. Envision this. While Swoopes is on the air, her co-host begins to shout Caitlin Clark's praises for being named Player of the Week. I mean, obviously one would want to weigh in, wouldn't you? Not at all. A hush fell over Swoopes. Not for a minute, not for a half minute, but for 50 complete seconds. You could almost feel the awkwardness through the television. It was that bad. Critics have noted that she was unable to articulate a single thought. Seriously, it's ridiculous. That is, to put it mildly, an understatement. Silence filled the air, as if one were seeing a train smash in slow motion. One would assume that Swoopes would make an effort to mend fences following that. She reaffirmed her stance nevertheless. Swoopes would either become extremely silent or find a method to shift the conversation away from Clark whenever his name was mentioned. It had gotten to the point that Swoopes' reaction could be predicted just by mentioning Clark. Then word spread on social media, and it was like adding gasoline to a fire. Social media platforms like Twitter and Instagram went viral. Allegedly unable to manage the new celebrity on the street, Swoopes was accused of being envious. Many of her admirers didn't believe her defense that she was simply being careful. The most insane aspect: this was more than just a Twitter feud or fan controversy. A WNBA great and the league's newest star appear to be at odds with one another. It was awkward, yet you couldn't tear your eyes away, like seeing your beloved aunt cause trouble at a family reunion. Did you find the quiet treatment to be unpleasant? Let me get this warm-up over with. The league itself would have to intervene once Swoopes dropped a bombshell. Why was she suddenly removed from the air after becoming a WNBA legend?
Respectfully, Sheryl Swoopes, you have any idea how that makes you look? Sheryl Swoopes. No, Caitlin Clark.
Stephen A. Smith's decision to publicly shame Swoopes set the ball rolling. Her silence on Caitlin Clark was something he would not tolerate. For failing to give Clark her due, Smith, who is notorious for his venomous opinions, publicly criticized Swoopes.
Accidentally left Caitlin Clark's name out of that soliloquy that you dropped about the Indiana Fever. Stop it. You know basketball better than me. You know basketball than any of the pundits. You know basketball better than most of the men that play basketball.
Things became really heated at that point. Think about this. Swoopes is discussing the roster of the Indiana Fever on air. If she were to mention Clark at once, you'd imagine it would be immediately. Not at all. Swoopes completely ignored her. Fans were ecstatic. They said Swoopes was acting in an unprofessional manner by allowing her emotions to interfere with her work. Now things start to become wild. The focus had shifted away from Swoopes. It was heating up across the WNBA. The potential impact of this turmoil on the league's viewership and ratings was beginning to be debated. Consider it, if you will. An iconic figure in women's basketball appears to be at odds with the breakout star in the sport. I don't think that's flattering. The WNBA needed to take action. There was no way they could sit on their hands and let this happen. What then did they do? While the Indiana Fever were playing the Dallas Wings, Swoopes was taken off the air. Suddenly, she was no longer in the picture. When the league comes in like that, it's clear things are serious. That news shook the WNBA community to its core. Nobody could stop talking about it, fans, players, and other analysts alike. Swoopes had a right to her opinion, according to several who defended her. She was being accused of being jealous and classless by others. But hold on a second as I explain everything in detail. Swoopes isn't your average pundit. A true legend, she has earned her place in the Hall of Fame. For her to be removed from a television show? The magnitude of that is immense. For lack of proper recognition, it's as if Michael Jordan were to be removed from an NBA broadcast. It's enormous. Plus, Swoopes and Clark aren't the only ones involved anymore. Some serious concerns regarding the WNBA have been raised by this entire incident. When faced with similar circumstances in the future, how will they manage them? How does this impact the dynamic between seasoned players and up-and-coming talents? This is a bad situation for the league. Even though they have a deep admiration for their predecessors, they can't let their rising stars go unsupported. It's as if you're attempting to walk a tightrope while juggling lit torches. Everything may fall apart with just one misstep. However, out of all this, what is truly outrageous? This exemplifies the WNBA's tremendous growth. Contemplate it. Would such a scandal have garnered such coverage a few years ago? Would the public have paid as much attention to a commentator's words or silence regarding a rookie? I highly doubt it. This is when things start to heat up. What happens when a legendary figure turns villain? Swoopes' confrontation with Caitlin Clark has escalated beyond a simple disagreement between two players. It has the potential to reshape the norms of respect in women's basketball, revealing the WNBA's maturation process. Ron Thulin, Nancy Lieberman, and Siobhan Herndon will be the official broadcasters for the Indiana Fever versus Dallas Wings game. The lack of Swoopes is like a drama neon sign. No one can turn a blind eye to it, and supporters are speaking out in droves. You would expect that everyone would understand each other, wouldn't you? Totally incorrect. With Swoopes out of the picture, the fan base is as divided as a lightning bolt. Swoopes has a right to her opinion, according to some, who are fiercely advocating her. Freedom of speech, people, is what they all say.
But that's the farthest thing from my mind. Caitlin has done for not just college basketball, I think has been great.
The fans, however, have taken to labeling her classless and jealous. It's just like a Twitter battle, only there are actual repercussions. Swoopes and Clark are no longer the only ones involved in this entire affair. The WNBA is absolutely mortified. Just picture yourself in the league's shoes right this second. There are icons, there are stars on the rise, and now there's drama. Keep everyone happy? How? Everything falls apart at the first sign of trouble, just as when you try to juggle while riding a unicycle. Everyone is wondering how the WNBA will deal with similar situations in the future. There's no way they could round together all the seasoned employees and tell them, hey, be nice to the new kids or else. However, they also cannot afford to ignore criticism. The whole basketball world is watching as he walks the tightrope. Additionally, let's discuss the dynamics of the relationships between seasoned players and up-and-coming stars. There was a time when passing the torch and being a mentor were paramount. Right now, things are starting to get tricky. There is a great deal of egotism from veterans who feel threatened to newbies who are trying to make their impression. Imagine high school drama, except instead of diplomas, there are multi-million-dollar contracts at stake. But you know what's truly insane? We are learning a lot from this entire circumstance. First of all, being a good sport isn't limited to the field. The situation is identical whether you're holding a ball or a microphone. The lesson hits Swoopes like a ton of bricks. Additionally, there is the matter of adjusting to new circumstances. Everyone needs to stay up with the changing basketball landscape and the WNBA's expansion. Not even myths, perhaps notably myths and tales. Just because there's more ground to fall from once you reach the peak. Is this the Swoopes case? It serves as a reminder to the entire league. Hey, things are changing. It's implying. Join the bandwagon or perish. That applies to everyone, not only the players. All the way from the commentators to the coaches, it's for them all. Did you hear of something very crazy? The WNBA might benefit from this turmoil. Please listen to me, I understand. Who needs the spotlight when you have such fervent supporters arguing? People care about it. Their stake is high. The WNBA has become into more than simply a sideshow. All eyes will be on it. What about Caitlin Clark? Without uttering a single word, she stands at the core of everything. All she does is go all out, shatter records, and revolutionize the game. She is doing while everyone else is chatting.